Hi, and welcome to this live reading from Cooked, The Chef Blows Her Lid by Cari Schaeffer, and this is presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Chapter 1. Here's your key. Todd dropped the key in Olivia's hand in exchange for her deposit check and signed rental agreement. Don't forget, your rent is due on the 1st of the month, not the 2nd or the 3rd or the 5th. I had problems with the last tenant. I'm not going through that again. Olivia closed her fist around the key and forced a smile. She pushed her dark blonde curls off her forehead with the back of her hand. I know, I will pay on time, I promise. She hoisted the fishbowl higher on her hip, careful not to jostle its contents. Todd offered a tight smile, which brought out the dimples in his second chin, and placed the folded rental agreement and check in the breast pocket of his corduroy blazer. All right, then. He glanced at his watch. Have to get back to the office. He nodded, turned, and retraced his steps up the concrete walkway from the side to the front of the house. Once he rounded the corner and disappeared from view, Olivia exhaled and relaxed her shoulders. She inserted the key into her basement apartment. At least she had a private entrance and veranda. It was really just a walled-in patio, but calling it a veranda made it sound grand. The door swung open and Olivia was hit with the same faint, musty smell she had encountered the first time she toured the space, which was 3 days ago. The pit in her stomach rolled around and she swallowed the tinge of fear that rose in her throat. She never intended to be in this position. She had done everything right, hadn't she? At 29 years old, she thought her life was on track. She met and married a nice guy from church, trained in the field she was passionate about, and became an experienced chef through hard work and dedication to her craft. She paid her bills on time, gave to charity, and had never even run over a squirrel. How did she end up here? Olivia sighed, placed her goldfish Richard on top of the nearby table, and ran her hands along the furniture that came with the tiny apartment. It was dated and well-worn, but serviceable, just like her. Great, now I'm comparing myself to used furniture, she muttered. How else should one feel when one discovers one's husband has been cheating with one's best friend? The apartment had a tiny bedroom that barely fit a double bed, a nightstand, and a dresser. To Olivia's surprise, it came with a disproportionately large closet, although not quite a walk-in. That was fine with her. She wasn't a clothes hound. A good part of the closet was taken up by a stacked washer and dryer, another bonus. The living room was sufficient with a standard sofa and love seat, 2 end tables, and a small console for her television, which was even older than her very dated car. The kitchen was what had sold Olivia on the place. It was shockingly large relative to the tiny apartment, with open shelving above and cabinets below. The counter space spanned the length of one wall, and her landlord Todd had added a long stainless steel commercial table to use as an island, which thrilled Olivia on first sight. It was as if the space was made for her alone. The stove was electric, but she could deal with it. It had everything she needed to function. There was no dining area beyond a tiny table for 2, which was fine. Olivia had nobody to dine with. She'd be at work most of the time anyway. Her goldfish Richard wouldn't mind. Olivia walked over to the seemingly out-of-place French doors off the kitchen, which opened to the aforementioned veranda, and sighed. She hugged herself and twitched when her cell rang. The tension that gripped her neck like a vice and the ensuing rash told her who it was without looking. Hello, Mother. Hello yourself. I thought you were going to let me know when you got there. It's been an hour. Olivia scratched the rash on the back of her neck. It's only been 30 minutes, Mother. I just got in the door. I'm sorry. Well, you should be worrying me like that. What does it look like? Is it clean? Does the furniture smell? It's not too late to back out and come back home, you know. It's fine, Mom. I told you that already. I wouldn't live somewhere that is gross. I also told you that you could come look at it with me, but you didn't want to. Blanche offered an exaggerated sigh. Oh, I never thought you were serious. Why didn't you stay here longer? You have a perfectly good place to stay right here in your own bedroom. I don't know why you feel the need to leave me like that after all that has happened. Although, you two could talk it out, don't you think? I mean, after all, he is still your husband, isn't he? Why don't you fix yourself up? And Olivia bristled and worked to keep her voice even. Mom, Mark and I could talk, but I have to go. I have a lot to do before I go to work. Blanche sighed again. It was her specialty, and she had perfected it over the years. Oh, of course. Well, will you be by tomorrow for dinner? I could cook up some. Olivia's fingers scraped relentlessly across her neck. Mom, that sounds wonderful, really. But remember what I do for a living? I work every evening. That's my job. I cook when other people eat. Olivia, don't take that tone with me. I just meant. Olivia's neck was on fire. Had she walked through some poison ivy? I'm sorry. I don't mean to be rude. Forgive me. Please. I love you, but I have to go. Talk to you soon. Bye. Before Blanche could get in another word, Olivia clicked off and stuffed her cell into her pocket. She gave one final scratch at her neck. A quick scan of the space made Olivia realize the apartment could use a good vacuum and swipe with a dust cloth. She had 3 hours before she had to be at work, so she hurried out the door and up the three concrete steps to the pathway that led to her assigned parking space on the side of the house. Her 10-year-old red Toyota Camry was stuffed like a proverbial bell pepper. She was grateful she hadn't passed any police on the way over. It was unsafe to drive with all the mirrors blocked, but she had no choice. Olivia had stayed with her mother for exactly 7 days, and that was 6 days and 12 hours too long. Any longer, and there would have been a murder-suicide to contend with, which meant she had to bring everything in one trip. Olivia paused to take stock of her life. All of her worldly possessions fit into an old Toyota Camry. Of course they did. She shook off the melancholy and opened the door to the back seat. She shimmied the bucket of cleaning supplies, mop, broom, and ancient vacuum out and hauled them into the apartment. She gave the space a quick but thorough cleaning before she brought the first suitcase in. As she emptied the car and dragged her things into the apartment, she pondered the current state of her affairs. Her melancholy was replaced with the bile and heartburn-producing anger, laced with the deepest of pain. Mark, the supposed love of her life and husband of 4 years, had betrayed her in the most heinous way possible. And he had done it with her best friend, Marcy. Olivia wasn't sure which hurt worse, the betrayal of her husband or that of her best friend. Both at the same time was more than she wanted to endure. At least, she still had her job. She would throw herself into it wholeheartedly, as she always had. When Josh approached Olivia 2 years ago about opening a bistro, she had leapt at the opportunity. He gave her the head chef position and allowed her total freedom to design the menu. Olivia loved the farm-to-table movement that had swept across the nation years before and longed to embrace and put her own stamp on it. The bistro's menu was seasonal and locally sourced. Her dream job. At work, she was in control. At work, she mattered and made a difference. As Olivia put things away and displayed her few personal items around the apartment, her mood lifted. She put Richard on the windowsill where he would have the best view of their veranda. There you go, Richard. I hope you like it here. She sprinkled a few flakes of food into his bowl and watched as he darted and bobbed to gobble them up. I hope we like it here. Unpacking took less time than she thought, but then again, she didn't have much to unpack. The Toyota Camry is not a very large vehicle, trunk included. Olivia pulled her curls into a bun, washed up in the stand-up coffin that was her shower, and changed into her chef clothes. Bye, Richard. See you tonight. She collected her knives, keys, cell, and purse. Olivia locked the door to her new apartment and determined that for tonight she would empty her mind of everything but work. Carlos, the sous chef, greeted her when she walked into the bistro's kitchen. Hey, chef, good to see you. Thanks, Carlos. Good to be here. She stowed her purse and pulled the apron over her head. Carlos deftly sliced a toasted sandwich and slid it onto a plate. You got your head in the game tonight? Olivia unwrapped her knives and sharpened the chef's knife with gusto. Yep, locked and loaded. What do we have? Carlos eyed her as he pulled crispy fries from the fryer, dumped them in a large bowl with a sprinkling of salt, and slid them onto a plate. He rang the bell in the pass-through. Order up. He turned to Olivia. Just a couple of deuces right now. Steady stream. You good? Olivia yanked the next service ticket and gave him the hairy eyeball. Are you questioning me? Carlos grinned. She's back. Dan, the prep cook, grinned and shook his head while he chopped vegetables at his station. The evening service went as it always did, fast and steady. Olivia had no time to think of anything but maintaining control of the kitchen. Her kitchen. At 9, just as they were winding down, Josh ambled into the kitchen. He nodded at Olivia. Hey, how's it going? Olivia barely gave him a glance as she basted a salmon fillet in browned butter. Good. Do you need something? Josh jammed his hands in his pockets and rocked back and forth on his heels. He was perpetually uncomfortable in the kitchen, which was fine with Olivia. This was her space. We need to talk this week. Sure thing. Olivia tossed baby greens and vinaigrette and piled them into the plate to wait for the salmon. What's good for you? Josh staggered backward as Dan whipped in front of him. Sorry, Josh mumbled. How about Thursday? Olivia nodded. Before or after service? She placed the salmon on top of the greens, garnished the plate with a lemon wedge, and mashed the bell. Order up. After, I think. Oh, Josh nearly toppled forward as Jacob, the busser, hurried behind him with a tub full of dirty dishes. Cool. I'll see you then. Olivia placed 2 burgers on the grill, then reached into the cooler for the garlic aioli. Anything else? Josh's eyes darted around. No. I'll talk to you then. He beat a hasty retreat. Carlos sidled up to Olivia. What's that about? She shrugged. Probably the spring menu. It's February. Olivia had spent some time thinking of ideas for the spring menu, but the derailment of her marriage last week had put that on the back burner. It was good to bring it back up to the forefront. Olivia welcomed both the focus and the distraction. When the shift ended and everything had been cleaned up and ready for the next day, Olivia waved goodbye to her crew and dragged herself home. Hey, Richard, she called and dropped her things on the kitchen counter to include a chicken sandwich and house-made garlic seasoned chips. One perk of being the head chef was the food allowance. Otherwise, she'd only be able to afford ramen noodles now. The rent was $600, and that took a significant chunk of her meager salary. She hadn't needed to reconsider the salary 2 years ago because she relied on Mark's income too. Now, she was on her own. Her mother offered to help, but Olivia knew that any help from her mother would come with strings attached. Olivia changed into sweats and a t-shirt, grabbed the food, and dumped herself on the sofa. She clicked on the television and dove into the sandwich, which was delicious. She had made it herself, of course. As she took another bite, her appetite woke up and she devoured it and the chips. She downed 2 glasses of water and surfed the few channels available. Cable was not included. When she could avoid it no longer, she turned her cell on and waited. Sure enough, it beeped several times. Olivia scrolled through the messages and groaned. 5 from her mother, 1 from Mark. Why did she have to be an only child? She deleted the message from Mark without listening to it, then played the first message from her mother. Hi, dear, it's me. Listen, I do want you to come for dinner, but I know you have to work. Still, can you come for breakfast in the morning instead? I'll make your favorite blueberry pancakes. I have those little sausages you like too. I know you're probably trying to watch your weight, and I understand that. It's what we girls do, but you have to eat too, don't you? You eat too much of that bistro food, and that's not good for you, dear. I'm sure you know that. Eating that late at night is going to take you to an early grave. Anyway, call me. Olivia deleted the message, then played the next one. Hi, dear, it's me. Listen, when you come for breakfast tomorrow, we can chat. You really don't need to get your own place right now. Seriously, you can stay here rent-free for as long as you like. We can talk with Sherry's husband, Roland, about getting you a job at his firm, can't we? You would have more flexibility to work normal hours, and there is good room for advancement, too. I know Roland likes you. He's always said you were a good kid. Anyway, call me. Olivia scratched the itch on the back of her neck and hit delete. Her mother's friend, Sherry, was a busybody just like her mother. Although Roland was a nice man, she had no intention of being a secretary at his accounting firm. Her finger hovered over the key to play the next message. She debated for a fraction of a second, then pressed it. Hi, dear, it's me. I just got off the phone with Roland, and he can join us for breakfast tomorrow. He loves blueberry pancakes, too. Of course, Sherry will be here, too, you know. That won't be a problem, will it? He has a few open positions for you. Of course, one is in the mailroom, but that wouldn't be for long. He assured me of that. Plus, great news, his receptionist is going on maternity leave soon, so you can fill in for her. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Oh, you'll love it. You can come home for lunch every day and be free in the evenings, too. That's perfect for you. So much better than flipping burgers and being on your feet all day. You're almost 30, Olivia. Anyway, call me. Olivia's neck was raw. She deleted the other messages. Sleep was fitful that night. When Olivia woke up the next morning, she rubbed the grit from her eyes as she stumbled into the kitchen to make coffee. While it brewed, she sprinkled some food onto Richard's bowl and squinted at her veranda. In the morning light, it didn't look half bad. A few potted plants would spruce it up nicely. The rusted wrought iron table and 2 chairs that had been left by the previous occupant called to her. She smiled. Olivia splashed some cream and sugar into her mug and waited for the coffee to finish. She pulled her robe snugly around herself and stuffed her feet into a ratty pink slipper she had used for years. Mark always hated those slippers, but Olivia refused to replace them. They were warm and molded to her feet. So what if they looked like something dead from long ago and the pink was more of a rust color now? She liked them. She had just filled her mug when her cell rang. Olivia glared at it, and she chose to hold off on the battle until after her first mug of coffee. She shuffled out the door to her veranda and slammed the door closed behind her, shutting not only the door, but the urgent ringing of her phone, too. Not now, Mother. She planted herself on the chair and enjoyed her coffee. The chill air assaulted her minimally exposed skin, while the steam from the mug curled around her face and filled her nostrils with the scent of the dark roast she favored. When the mug was empty, she sighed and returned to the warmth of the indoors and her mother. Olivia snatched the cell and clicked the play button without glancing at the number. There really was no need. Olivia, it's your mother. I certainly hope you're awake by now. You shouldn't sleep in so late, you know. It's not good for you. Anyway, call me. What time are you coming for breakfast? Sherry and Roland will be here any minute, and you know Roland needs to get to his office soon. He's a very important man. He's taking time out of his schedule for you, and you should appreciate his sacrifice. Don't be rude, Olivia. I raised you better than that. This is an incredible opportunity he's giving you. Olivia, pick up the phone. Blanche had never accepted the idea that cell phone voicemails are not like the old landline messages. The recipient cannot hear the speaker. Her mother let out her signature sigh. Anyway, call me. Olivia, in a small act of defiance, finished her second mug of coffee, ate a granola bar, showered, then called her mother. Hi, Mom. Olivia, you're late and you're being rude. Tell me you're on your way out the door right this minute. Jerry and Roland have already eaten their pancakes. They're cold now, by the way, and Roland really can't wait much longer. He's an important man and has clients. When are you? I am so sorry, Mom. I got in especially late last night, so didn't hear your messages until this morning. I can't come. She grimaced at her own lie, even as her fingers scraped the back of her neck. A rare silence ensued, but it never lasted long. What do you mean you're not coming, young lady? Blanche sputtered. That is not acceptable. Do you hear me? You need to get yourself over here right now. You will not embarrass me like this and make yourself out to be unreliable. Roland is an important man, and I can't come, Mom. I'm sorry. Olivia Eleanor Macon Waring, you do not interrupt your mother like that. You will get yourself over here right now, or I'm sorry, Mom. I don't mean to be rude. Forgive me. I have to go. I love you. Tell Roland I'm sorry. Olivia clicked the phone off and threw it on the sofa. That was the second time she'd hung up on her mother in as many days. That would not go unpunished. She shook her fists at the ceiling. God help me. A light tapping on her door interrupted her. Olivia blinked. She wasn't expecting anyone. Who even knew she lived here? She cracked the door enough to peer outside. There stood a woman wearing a black dress with white polka dots, clutching a basket. The woman waved like she was a spectator at a parade. Her dark helmet of hair shivered at her motion. Hello, she crooned. I'm your neighbor, Maud. I live right over there. She nodded across the street. I saw that Todd got a new tenant, and I wanted to welcome you to the neighborhood. Do you mind if I come in? Before Olivia could answer, Maud pushed her way through the door and into the tiny apartment, where she proceeded to swivel her head and look around. Todd spruced the place up, I see. Good for you. She thrust the basket into Olivia's hands. This is a welcome basket I put together. Her eyes darted from Olivia to the basket in expectation. Olivia took the hint and plucked through the contents. Thank you. Maud waved her off. It's not much, really. I made you some spritz cookies. I sell Pampered Chef, you see. She fluffed her helmet hair, which moved as a single unit. My card is in there. I also sell Longaberger baskets. That's what I put your gifts in, plus Scentsy candles, Mary Kay, Avon, Discovery Toys, Premier Designs jewelry, and Avocare supplements. I don't have children, Olivia mumbled. Oh, that's all right. If you have nieces or nephews, that's great too. Listen, I left my card in there for you. I would love to help you in whatever challenges you're facing. Her eyes darted over Olivia's form. Olivia sucked in her stomach. Our Advocare products can get you on the track to become the best that you there is. I've lost 30 pounds myself. Of course, Mary Kay is the best cosmetics and skincare, hands down. It's all I wear. I'm sure you know that all home parties are free. You can always earn free things by hosting one. I'm sure you'd love free, wouldn't you? Who doesn't? And when you book with me, you can pretty much get it all in one round. It's like shopping for everything you need without ever leaving your home. She placed a hand on her hip and struck a pose, satisfied with her sales pitch. I work a lot, so... Maud posed and blinked, and Olivia blinked right back. Maud nodded firmly. Well, I place the new spring catalogs in your basket, look through them, and make your wish list. Of course, with the supplements, we would need to schedule a free consultation to see what's best for you. If a home party for the other things isn't going to fit your lifestyle, we can always just have a book party or a virtual event on social media. Feel free to share them with your friends, all right? Everything ships all over the world, you know. I won't keep you, and I'll be sure to follow up soon. Enjoy the cookies and all the other goodies I put in there for you. Oh, what was your name? Olivia. Maud grabbed Olivia's free hand. It's so nice to meet you, Olivia. Remember, I'm just across the street. Ta-ta. She wiggled her fingers over her shoulder and let herself out. Olivia stared at the door and then put the basket at the back of the counter. She needed to get ready for work.